All right. So, like most political, science theories, they say that the most important part of political marketing that you must be aware of is its ability to integrate, construct, propositions and existing models that seek to explain political phenomena in question. Now, when we talk about political marketing, we shouldn't, just, think that it is different or separate from the existing models or existing theories. Political science, for example, political communication, for example, especially also sociology, psychology. When we talk about political marketing, we are rubbing in most of these things, media studies, for example, all right? Because political marketing does not exist on its own. It connects with these other areas. But that does not mean that you have to go and study political science, or you have to go and study sociology, or you have to go and study media studies. If you have those knowledge, it's a plus for you. And the argument is that do not see this as a wholly separate part. Whatever knowledge that you have that has a connection with politics, you have to bring it into the analysis, because political marketing gives you the analytical capability to understand how to win over the voters. And remember, our main focus here is about the voter, all right? How do you persuade and win over the voter? So all the various variables that come in play in order to persuade and win over the voter is what we are looking at. And that means that some understanding of sociological construct, how do people live, all right? What are the effects of the family on an individual? Do you get it? So if you look at, individual, you realize that when individuals are making decisions, they consider so many other social factors, isn't it? And so the theory of what do you call the theory of social dominance, or the idea that people, what do you call, reflect on what others would say about them, or what others' views, about them are in making decisions, actually come to play as well when you're actually discussing, politics, or you're discussing the vote, for example. So we're saying that when it comes to political marketing, its ability to integrate, construct propositions and existing models in other fields actually makes it much more, compelling as a study field. All right. Now, when we actually talk about, marketing, for example, when we think about marketing, who can tell us the first things or the things that come to mind when you hear the word marketing? Yeah. When you hear the word marketing, what are some of the things that come to your mind? Yeah. Bosu or Francis, any of you?
Yes, Doc. Selling or making known
Selling.
a product to the target market. Yes.
Exactly. So when we hear the word market, it's about sales. How do you move a product to the market, the target market? Fantastic. What else can we think about when you hear the word marketing?
For me, aside selling, the next thing is convincing.
Exactly, persuading. So yes, it means that when you hear the word marketing, is about persuading somebody, convincing somebody about that particular product, which is part of the sales activity. So you just don't go there and use any words. It won't work. The words must be persuasive, isn't it? All right. What else do we, what else come to mind when we hear the word marketing? The word marketing. So all these things are coming to mind. So for example, immediately the word marketing comes to mind, you're talking about existence of two or more people or two or more parties involved in it, all right? Again, you're talking about an exchange of values, not any other exchange, but of value. So you hear the word marketing, you know that, okay, it means that somebody must exchange something for something, which means there must be a product given to somebody and somebody must receive money or must receive something in return for the same value of the product. So we're saying that in marketing, or when you hear marketing, there's an exchange of values, be it product, services, ideas versus money or other devices as legal tender. All right. Now, again, when you hear the word marketing, there's availability of a medium or a platform that makes the exchange happen. So you can't say that, oh, I need to exchange something with someone, but there must not be a medium. There must be a medium, which means there must be a place called a market or a space called a market where you can get that person, give that person the product, and you also take what? The money. It may not necessarily be a physical space, but whatever the space is, all right, that is a medium. Currently, as we are speaking, we are in exchange of a certain value. Who can tell us that? We are in exchange, as we are speaking, we are in exchange of a certain value. Who can describe the context? As we are speaking, currently it's a market. So you guys have,
Ideas are being exchanged.
Yeah, go on, Francis.
There's exchange of ideas or knowledge imparted onto people, and then we are paying some money for it.
Excellent. So there's an exchange of ideas. So now I'm actually offering ideas. I'm offering a certain kind of product, which is, a service, right? That is teaching, impartation of knowledge. In return, you have given something called fees to the university that I am paying X amount of money. And once I pay X amount of money, I expect one of your staff, who is called Kobe Mensa, to deliver a certain lecture, which is a service, an impartation of knowledge. And that is happening currently as we speak via the internet, all right? So as we speak, the internet, your device, whether you're on a phone or you're on a laptop, have become those mediums of exchange, all right? By extension, the language, which is the English that we're speaking, is also what? A medium. Because if I had to come here and I speak French and you don't understand French, certainly exchange hadn't taken place. Are you following the conversation? So
Yes.
Currently, as we speak, we have three forms of medium that is actually, mediating or moderating this process. One, we have the internet, we have the devices, which is the laptops or the phones that you have or the tablet that you have. And then we have the communication, which is, or the language, which is English, helping us to exchange, the kind of things that we're talking about. Now, in the past or before that, you had also given that money to the university. You did that via a certain platform, whether you went to a bank, to deposit the money, or you used your Momo, so there was a medium. So in conceptualization of how the exchange takes place, there is a space called a medium or a platform that actually makes the exchange possible, all right, which we have actually discussed in very many ways or different ways, all right. Keep it in mind, these kind of scenarios, because when we come to the politics bit, you would understand how these things actually play. Now, again, when we hear the word marketing, Anas, welcome. Again, when you hear the word marketing, we're saying that there is a salesperson, as Bonsu said earlier, who is actually pitching, their company's product. So the sales guy go and say, "Oh, this product is so fantastic, buy it." But then the person says, "Oh, why should I buy it?" And that's where Francis says it has to be persuasive. So now that individual sales guy has to actually build up a compelling debate or a compelling message that can actually persuade this person to say, indeed, it is worth me giving you my 100 Ghana in exchange for this product. And that is what we're talking about. Now, let's look at the word politics. When we hear the word politics, what comes to our minds? The word politics. Now, we are trying to understand the theory of political marketing. And as a result, we are dissecting the component parts. There's politics and there's marketing. And we are trying to get the understanding of these two, why these two must come together. Yes? When you hear the word politics, what comes to your mind? Anas?
Yes, Doc. Before that, good morning. Let me apologize.
That's right.
I connected to a different Zoom, and for 30 minutes there was nothing happening
Oh,
until I came onto the political marketing WhatsApp group and I saw this form. I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's okay. Sorry about that.
When I hear politics, it's one thing. Politicians and political parties seeking the mandate of the people. That's
fantastic, fantastic. So you see, there are two people, in fact, two or more people. You say politicians, political parties seeking the mandate of some people. So at least we have three, parties involved in this, or three elements involved in this. And then the idea of seeking mandate, that actually suggests an exchange. All right, seeking. When you hear the word seeking, there's a connotation of someone trying to convince somebody for something to take place, which is the mandate, all right? And that means an exchange. Who else want to, talk about the word politics? When it comes to mind, what else comes to mind? What are the linkage words? The word politics. When you hear the word politics, what comes to mind? What comes to your mind? Francis or Bonsu, when you hear the word politics?
Okay, once that one projecting one's interest and then ideology.
Fantastic. So the word politics, immediately you hear the word politics, what comes to your mind is that someone is projecting themselves, all right? They're projecting themselves, and then they're projecting their ideology. So they're projecting two things, their personality, and then what they feel or what they think about things, all right? They're projecting that. Okay, so that's what we're saying. So if you look at, what we have talked about, again, the word politics means two or more parties involved, all right? It means an exchange of values, ideas, as we were talking about, an exchange of ideas, policies, programs versus votes. Of course, again, they're exchanging their personality for vote as well. So they're saying, I'm putting myself, forward to do this job. I'm saying that I have the competence to do this job, and that's why I'm offering myself. But then I'm not just offering myself, but I'm offering my ideas, and my ideas are A, B, C, D, E. All right. So again, when we talk about politics, these strands of ideas actually come to mind. And then, of course, there's availability of a medium, because when someone says, I am the best, take me or vote for me, they are not actually saying it at a different place. They are saying it using a medium, which means a system that makes it possible for those they are seeking their mandate be there in present, and then they also be in present. So again, there's an exchange taking place through a particular medium. So again, when we talk about politics, pitching comes to mind as well, that there are party operatives who are actually pitching their ideas or their personalities or their parties, etc. All right, they're offering the programs to the voters. We also see billboards, flashy billboards, lining through the street, etc. Of course, we do research, we are finding out what the people want, etc. So when we talk about these two things, politics and marketing, we're saying that they share some things in common. And so if we agree that, these things are the words, or these ideas are the things that come to mind when we hear the word marketing and politics, then certainly there's what we call political marketing, because they have similar traits. And just like marketers will pitch, would actually put themselves, the products forward, they will engage in sales activity, they will persuade. The same way in politics, politicians, their aides, activists are actually putting forward the candidate, the ideas, and they're using a particular channel, to make sure that that exchange actually happens. And so we're saying that in a broad terms, there is no difference between actually political and marketing, because all these two Can't hear again. Okay. Let me check. Anas, can you hear me? Because Bonsu says he can't hear.
I can hear you.
Okay. Bonsu, I think it may be your system. Your system. This. Gilbert, can you hear me? Gilbert.
Yes, Doc. Yes, please. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Bonsu, I think it's the connection at their place. Okay. So we're saying that these are the connecting points between these two. And so whatever we see or we hear in politics, there is either there is a linkage or it aligns with what we hear or what we do in marketing. And that's why we're actually studying the theories, that is involved in this particular, area. Okay, so, okay, let me just. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. So when we talk about the definition, having discussed what marketing is and what politics is, in a sense, when we talk about the definition of political marketing, we mean that it's a marriage between politics and marketing, where the political organization, the ideological position, the candidate characteristics, the issue position are offered to the voter using marketing approaches. So when we say that all these things are offered to the voter using marketing approaches, we're talking about the 4 Ps, using the branding, segmentation, targeting. So we are actually presenting the organization, the ideology, the candidate, the issue positions to the voter through the use of marketing theories, marketing approaches, as an imaginary representation of good governance in exchange for votes with the aim of securing power. So the definition of political marketing is very clear that one, we want to present the whole agenda of the party. That includes its candidate, its policy, its perception of issues, the party itself. And we are presenting that to the voter through marketing means. That is marketing, pricing. We have to look at the pricing. We have to look at the distribution.
Sorry, Doc, I was having some internet challenge.
Yeah, I know, Francis. That's the reality of the digital space. So I sent a tweet that teaching online is boring. And people were saying, oh, for you guys too, it's boring for you. I said, well, I really wish that we are back to the classroom, but unfortunately, we have to deal with that. So we're saying that bringing all these things to the voter with the use of marketing approaches, because it is observed that the marketing approach is far more superior and compelling than what political science used to offer, all right? Which is very much almost like a historic, because political science actually look at the historic narratives, of political parties. They do not offer the strategy bit that we're talking about. And that's where political marketing differ from political science. For us, we're saying that we offer tools for engagement. So in political marketing, we don't offer only descriptive, but we offer also prescriptive methodologies for how campaign must be won. Political science deals with descriptive, they're describing the things. Political marketing is descriptive, is prescriptive, and is analytical. It gives you analytical lens to actually check and say, hey, okay, what's going on? This candidate did A, B, C, D. This is what it means. All right. So it gives you the analytical ability to see what someone is trying to do, and then gives you the prescriptive ability to be able to prefer solutions to what somebody is trying to do or what you want to do to win the vote. And that's what we're talking about. So let's look at some of the fundamental theories of political marketing. And that's where it is interesting. Now, the reason why I love political marketing so much is that it is very current. Like it is almost like you can see that indeed this thing is happening. All right. And as a result, you can prefer solutions. And so sometimes when I'm sitting behind and I'm watching the plane, the political plane, all right. And Bonsu, is your network better now?
Yes, dog.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes.
And I'm watching the political plane, the space, and I see what's going on. And I play it in my mind. I say, okay, of course, you're not in the minds of this person, but I can almost tell that this is what they're trying to do. This is what is going on. And then when you offer the analysis, people meet in and say, so how are you able to do that? I say, well, it's the training, it's the discipline that I have. I mean, I don't have to be there, but if I put the theories together, I can tell that this is the way going. So let's look at some of the fundamental theories in political marketing. Now, political marketing is saying that instead of treating the voter as the citizen, you must treat the voter as a consumer. All right, which means as political marketers, you don't go about thinking voters will do what you think they should do, because people are no longer citizens. All right. Now, when you go into the theory of citizenship, all right, now the theory of citizenship means that an individual has been conferred the right of a particular regime, i.e., a particular country. He's been conferred the right through birth, through whatever, all right? And so that conferment also means that they have a responsibility towards the entity or the country that actually conferred on them the citizenship. So in fact, the word citizen is a higher calling identity or a higher calling entity. And that means you are obliged towards the state to perform certain responsibilities or certain obligations. And in turn, you are obliged to expect a certain responsibility from the state towards your welfare. That's what citizenship means. Are you with me? Now, so when they say someone is a citizen, it's not a joke. It's not a small conferment. It's a huge thing. That includes rights and responsibilities. So you have a right to demand from the state. The state has a right to demand from you, or you are obliged to commit to the state. And that means that you have a responsibility to know what is going on in the country. So a citizen should read the newspaper. You cannot say, oh, I didn't know. No, a citizen must read the newspaper. A citizen must follow the news, must understand what the presidency is doing, what the opposition is doing. And understanding doesn't connote education. No, we are not talking about English here, or we're saying that the citizens, regardless of who they are, whether they are educated or not educated, must know what's going on in the country. And that's why when you go to the law courts, they say that, you know, they say, there's a word that they use. They say it's no excuse. Something is not an excuse.
Ignorance is not an excuse.
Exactly. Ignorance is not an excuse, all right? So you can't say you don't know. As a citizen, you can't say you are ignorant about something. It won't work, because you must know. But political marketing is saying that, are we really sure that the voter really know what's going on? I hope you're following the argument. Are we really sure that the voter, as a citizen, really knows that today the president was in Senegal or was in Sierra Leone? Recently, the president went to Sierra Leone to celebrate with them on their independence. Are we really sure that the voter who is being conferred, they are voters because they are conferred citizenship right, And by that means they must know what's going on. Are we really sure that the voter knows that the president went to Sierra Leone? Are we really sure that the voter, out of their volition, will go and read the newspaper? Are we really sure that the voter will sit by GBC, because GBC is the sole mouthpiece of the government, will sit by GBC and say that, oh, president is going to speak at 9 o'clock, and so sit there and then listen? No, we have changed. In fact, the definition of a consumer is someone who thinks that I need this and goes ahead to perform that. So consumer doesn't just go because he's been told by the state to do it. Consumer does things that actually reflect in their own well-being. He can even decide that I'm hungry, I just don't want to eat. It's their choice. So as for the consumer, they have two fundamental things. They have needs and they have choice. And all these things are not by compulsion. It is by their desire to do it or not to do it. They are completely different from who a citizen is. So in political marketing theory, our fundamental argument is that if you are a party or you're a politician and you think a voter is a citizen, in the first place, you're completely wrong. So your strategy would not work, because the unit of analysis here is that the identity of the voter is no longer a citizen, but a consumer. Up till now, we still have politicians who think that voters are citizens. Oh, but they are supposed to know. Oh, but they're supposed to know that the president is on GBC, so they have to listen. They're supposed to know that it's about, a talking point. Talking Point is a very serious program. Oh. Take the candidate to Talking Point. As for Talking Point, that's where we discuss policy. Master, are you real? And some people saying, yeah, as for politics, it's about this Joy FM's program. What's the name?
Newsfile.
Newsfile. The candidate has to be on Newsfile. Sure, that's where we discuss politics. Who told you that the voters are listening to politics? And so if we take the candidate to Newsfile, that's it. My friend, you're a joker. People are not listening to Newsfile. Newsfile is listening to by me and you, the two of us. We think that politics is all in all, and that's why we're listening to Newsfile. The majority of the voters are actually listening to Ekuma Mama Zimbi. That's where they are listening to. Mama Zimbi has almost about 4 million viewership almost every time when she's activated. Newsfile, only about 400,000, even that one self, by God's grace.
Now we are listening. We are watching the trash.
Now we're watching the trash. You get my point. We're watching the trash. But that's voters who have been conferred citizenship rights with the obligation towards the state. So somebody is saying things are not going well, and you people are watching the trash. Who told you that they are even bothered that things are not going well? Of course, things are not going well. That one is not going well for you. They would watch the vote rush and come back to maybe think that things are not going well. Or they are okay. As the new slang is going, you now saying that he is watching the trash. In that moment, he doesn't care about petrol fuel, whatever. He doesn't care about whatever is going on. He wants to watch date rush. That's what he wants to watch. And that's his choice. There's no compulsion here. So in political marketing theory, when you are doing the analysis of the target, and the target here is the voter, because you want to win their vote, their mandate. So you have to ask yourself, this voter that I'm targeting, what are they doing now? And we are saying that we must take the political product to the voter through marketing means. So the question is, how do I reach them? In fact, which medium of communication do they like? You can't sit there and say, take the candidate to Newsfile, because they don't like Newsfile. They're actually on Date Rush. They're on Mama Zimbi. They are watching Kumkum Baja. That's the platform. And you are saying we should take the candidate to Talking Point. I can remember when I go to Talking Point after the program, I get only like two students sending me messages and say, oh, Doc, I saw you on Talking Point. I said, you are saying change your part.
I don't remember the last time I even watched.
Can you imagine?
I tell you.
Can you imagine?
I forgot to.
And you are even politically astute.
Yes.
Let alone the woman who is in Kejetia, and you are saying take the candidate to Talking Point, my friend. So we are wasting space and resources. We are not targeting. We are not understanding who the voter is. And I'm not saying that all the voters are the same. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to analyze who the voter is, and which means that we even have to break down the voters and say, okay, this segment or this category of the voters, who are they and where are they? How do they get their information? And what are the competing products? So we're saying that don't look at the voter as a citizen, because you'll be misplaced. You'll be making a lot of assumptions for them and saying that, yeah, once the president says, oh, president is going to speak to us at 9 o'clock, they will definitely sit by the TV, and then the TV has been shown. They say, oh, president wants to speak to us at 9 o'clock on GTV. And so everybody will switch into GTV. They will not. They will not. They would switch into their preferred channel. And which is the preferred channel? We have to find out. So the first theory of political marketing that you must understand, and you must have it with you, that do not analyze the voter as a citizen, because you throw away your shots. Analyze the voter as a consumer, and know the difference between these two. Consumer is the one who looks at things from their own interest. What do I want to do? Or what do I want to eat today? And they don't consider what do I want to eat today in one single angle. They look at it from perspective of who has what do I want to do. So competition, they are open for competition. And then assess other choices. As for citizen, he's been told by the state that I'm giving you these credentials and I expect this from you. That era, we have long gone, yapang. So the era of voters as citizenship, we've long gone over it. We've passed it. In fact, since 1992, the liberalization of the media space, in addition to the other spaces, made sure that we no longer have one TV station. That alone is enough to tell you that we have gone past the stage of citizenship, because we are not forced to watch GTV. And even the traditional media that we are talking about now, we have even gone past it. People are now watching internet. Last time I was asking the other class that, what are the rituals that we used to do that we're no longer doing? Those days we used to have Bibles under our pillows. Today, the phone has replaced it. Those days, when you get out of the bed, you may have to read a chapter or two for those who are Christians, and then those who are Muslims, maybe read the Quran a chapter or two, all right, before they go and paste, etc. Now we've gone past it. 2 a.m. Somebody is watching. They get up to go and pee, and when they come back, they slip their hand under their bed and they check whether there's a WhatsApp message or there's something on Facebook before they go back to bed again. The rituals have changed, and that tells you that the voter has changed. The voter has moved on, and that's the unit of analysis. How do we analyze the voter and get to understand what the dynamics are in order that we can target them appropriately? That's the first theory. The second theory in political marketing is that the exchange is now under or subjected to the market forces. The exchange that we're talking about, that there's an exchange of ideas, there's an exchange of this, there's an exchange of that, is now under market forces, is subjected to market forces. So just like in commerce or in business, that every company, every product, everything is in competition with other things, the same way. And the thing is that politics and politicians are not in competition with each other. They are in competition with the other forces. So you cannot say, I'm MPP and my competitor is NDC. You are wrong. Shatawale is your competitor. Stoneboy is your competitor. Black Stars is your competitor. Date Rush is your competitor. What do you call this girl? Dina or whatever. All those, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that fashion, entertainment, all these other sub areas are your competitors. Are you following the argument? So you cannot say that politicians' competitors are politicians. And why am I saying that? Who can actually answer that question? Why am I saying that you're a politician, you're a political party, but your competitors are not the other political parties alone, but your competitors are entertainment, fashion, games, any other thing that the voter is likely to engage in. Why am I saying that?
I will try.
Yeah, try, Francis.
Well, with a politician, your focus is to win the election.
Mhm.
And in winning the election, you need the citizens who are your consumers to vote for you.
Yeah.
And the consumers who you are targeting, that is the market force. What are they interested in?
That's it.
They are interested in how do you call it? They are not interested in your other opponents. They are interested in Adina. They are interested in going for Shatawale shows.
Yeah.
So now, when Shatawale is doing a show and you are also doing a rally, it means that only your family members will come for your rally.
Fantastic.
And all your
you may not even have all your family members coming. Those who are teenagers, they may want to tell you, Daddy, I'm sorry, I cannot come for your show. I'm going to Shatawale.
Yes. So your competitor now is not your opponent, because your opponent is also suffering the same defeat.
That's the thing.
From Shatawale and all this. So if you are able to find yourself and align and compete very well with them, or probably lure them to your side. Like, for example, I would like to use how do you call it? 2016? When one guy in the north had to carry Shatawale. Even the NDC final rally, they had to bring Shatawale on stage. You get it? And some people came to the stadium not because they wanted a rally.
No.
And the Osu boys came because they heard Shatawale was coming to the stadium. And after the a lot of people left following the Shatawale, forgetting about the address Joe Mahama is coming to do, or
exactly
whoever is coming to do. You get it? Yes. So I think that's why you're saying that your competitor is not your opponent, but rather other interesting stuff that is taking the attention of your consumers.
Fantastic. So that's the point that we are making.
No, can I add something there?
Yeah,
I want to add up to what he said. Yes. So another perspective is also that the politician is a brand, okay, and then Shatawale is also a brand. And now in marketing, we are trying to promote our brand. So then they all become competitors, okay, because they are all brands that we are selling to the people, right? Yeah, that's why I want to say.
Excellent. Yeah. So the issue is that.
Yeah. Hello, Doc.
Yeah, Bonsu coming.
Yeah. To add up to Francis, forgive me, I'm on the highway, so it's
that's
very,
all right.
very noisy.
That's all right. But
yeah. Per what Francis said.
Yeah.
Which means that as a politician, when you are strategizing for bringing somebody who can also pull a crowd to you, like Shatawale, to your campaign launch or whatever, I think it is a suicidal to do that one, in a sense that whenever you actually bring such people on board, it is not a genuine crowd that you are drawing to come and listen to you, but it is because of an addition of somebody. And unfortunately, when a person finished performing, the main idea of bringing them so that they can also get your message to consume was not possible. So I think now going forward, politicians also have to strategize that either they don't need such individuals who will come and compete for their product that is being shared to their consumers, or they will find a way of doing that one intermittently, that maybe this one will come and they do the performance, and then alongside you push your product to them, and then maybe they will come and then close you, so that the people can stay and then consume your product.
Fantastic. So that's what we're talking about. We do not actually dismiss them completely, but we're saying that strategize in making sure that you can retain, the attention, which is the point that you made at the end of it. So we're saying that the consumers or the voters who you are targeting also have interest in other players. And in fact, they find those interests much more compelling than the political product. And so there is a competition of attention of the same eyeballs. How do you realize that reality and factor that into your strategies in order that you can still appeal to them and let them still enjoy what they enjoy? So I'll give you a typical example as well. In 2016 election, I think the MPP was supposed to launch its manifesto in Tamale, if you guys remember rightly. Now, unfortunately, around that time, Black Stars was supposed to play a match in Tamale. Now, MPP had to recall its manifesto launch in Tamale, and smartly so, because look, if they had gone ahead to launch the manifesto in Tamale, it would have been disaster. And unfortunately for us, we even lost the match in the Tamale game. And that could have affected the mood, So it was a good decision that they withdrew that decision to launch the manifesto in Tamale just because of the Black Star. That tells you the power of the other competing interests. Games, fashion, entertainment, they are so powerful. Why? Because people think that it speaks to their needs more than the political parties. Why? Because there's a consistent failure of the political system. They promise, the political system in totality promise doesn't deliver. But if entertainment says, I'm coming to perform, they would realize the performance. They will shout, they would excite themselves. In the end, they will go home. So people or the voters see direct impact of other sectors than politics. And so politics is always under the authority of the other areas. And that's why we're saying that your competitor is not your other political party, but your competitor is entertainment, is music, is fashion, because people find them more compelling and more exciting to engage in than politics. So we're saying that when you're analyzing the political exchange, the exchange of ideas, the exchange of services, etc., do not analyze it only in the context of politics, but the market forces, because the alternative to you could be Stoneboy. So you're going to have like Francis said, you're going to have a campaign, and Stoneboy says he's going to this place. Trust me, even your family members, only few will come. The rest, especially the young ones, are going to Stoneboy. So when we're analyzing the exchange, let us analyze, or we're analyzing the political strategy, let us look at these other forces and how they impact on our strategy going forward so that we can really know how to, win the vote. And then the other theory is that in political marketing, the end goal, just like in commerce, the end goal is profitability. Political marketing, the end goal is about winning. The end goal in political marketing is about winning. How do I win? And that is the fundamental focus of a political marketing strategist. It does not mean that you will not lose campaign or you will not lose elections. You would. But what we're saying is that the mindset in political marketing strategists is about how do you win the elections? And that's what, actually concerns us. All right. Any question or contribution before I move on? Any question or contribution? Okay. So fundamentally, we are saying that the system of politics is market-oriented. From all that we're discussing, we're saying that because of what we have said, the effect of other forces on politics and the effect of the consumer or the voters' own thinking means politics is now market-oriented. And when we say market-oriented, it means that in the analysis of politics, you have to subject it to the dynamics of the market. That is, who is in the market? What are they selling? How are they selling it? When are they selling it? You have to look at all these forces and its implication on the political product. So you cannot just go and say that I'm the best candidate ever because I've done A, B, C, D. My friend, you are not being realistic. You are supposed to assess yourself in relation to the market forces and how these forces can impact on your candidacy. So in the past, this is how, and that's why we're going into the market orientation of political market or politics. In the past, this is how politics organized or political parties organized. And this is purely from political science perspective. Ideology here is at the center of what political parties or politicians do. In the past, from political science lenses, ideology was the sole element or the connecting point in political activity. So everything is about what's your ideology? Okay, what are you proposing? And that connected the way the party organized. So ideology's influence on the party is that a collective group of people with the same mindset will come and form political party. That's the old political science thinking. That ideology was so powerful that immediately you speak and somebody thinks, this guy thinks like me, they will come and join your party because we have a like-minded people coming together to form a political party. So in the past, it was ideology that mobilizes the party because we are thinking alike. Because we're saying that we are conservatives, meaning that we see economic arrangement in the perspective of the individual, that the individual must be so powerful enough to generate wealth, to touch other individuals, so that the nation will do well. In our thinking as conservatives or as Republicans, we think that the power, the individual must have the right and the ability to mobilize resources into an economic activity in order that it could impact on society. Or on the left side, no, the individual himself may not be able to do that because you can't promise or you can't say for certain that when they realize the profitability, they will use it for public good. And so they will expand for others to have the economic cake. So let government mobilize. Let government be at the center of the economic activity so that government can share it fairly, because that's for government, it's for everybody. So they can share it fairly. But if you give that power to only an individual and he gets the money, he may jet off to US and chill. So that ideology is also the one that is helping organize. So the voters say, I think I agree with these people, because if we give the power to this guy, he may get the money, fly away. So government can share. So they too, they form their party. That's what the traditional politics was about. That ideology is at the center of party mobilization. Again, ideology is at the center of the candidate. So if you're a candidate of a political party and you do not espouse the same ideology, how can you be our candidate? Because you don't believe in the things that we believe in. We are saying that individuals must have the power for economic activity. You say you don't agree. If you don't agree, how can you become our candidate? So ideology was at the center of candidate selection. And in fact, candidates that did not demonstrate a neatly aligned position with the ideological position of the party and had a lingering, differences cannot become the candidate, because he has a lingering differences. In the past, that's how he organized. Again, ideology is what actually influenced the policy. So we are, right of center party. We believe in fiscal discipline. We believe in tax haven for individual firms so that they can do more and then recruit more. And that should go into our policy. We can't do this because this is not our policy. This is not ideology. This policy is definitely not our ideology. So that is how it reflected in policy making. This is the traditional, political science way of how parties organized. So political marketing is saying that, again, we got it wrong. Because in modern times, if you organize like this, you never get people to join your party. If you place emphasis on ideology and say that if you do not assign to my ideology or align to my ideology, then you are not part of my party, before you realize your party is left to 2 people. Because in the modern times, and this is what we are now, political marketing is proposing that in the modern times, to hell is ideology, people say. It is about my interest. The voter is looking at what is in it for me. In fact, what can you do for me? So political marketing is saying that replace ideology with the voter as the unit of analysis. So if you're analyzing the political strategy and you're revolving the strategy around ideology, you are in the first place out of context. In fact, you have lost the election right from the beginning, because the unit of analysis, who is the voter, has been replaced with ideology. And that's the traditional way. Yes, the traditional way, those days, parties organized fairly well on ideological position. And if we have to go down, deep down into the premises of it, in those days, French Revolution, when the peasants and then the owners of capital were begrudging each other because those workers felt that the owners of capital were cheating them. They worked so hard for peanuts. And then the owners of capital thought that they are giving out so much, but they're not getting the labor. People put in low efforts. So that struggle, class struggle, became the reality. So in resolving that, those owners of capital sit on the right, those workers sit on the left, and that's the division, the left and the right ideological position. And at the time, community was so together that it is you and me in one boat. So once your welfare is like mine, we come together as one people. And so interest was very limited in terms of what concerns people. It was all about welfare, about economic. So people aggregated on that ground. And that's why ideology was, at the time, very important in mobilization, because people had few needs. In fact, the need to wear, to eat, and all that. These were basic needs of human beings. And so it was enough to mobilize based on ideological positions, because we had only two classes, the rich and the poor. Fast forward the time, needs have changed. In fact, among the poor, people are even fighting for equality. They say, I'm a woman, recognize my gender. Yes, you can talk about I'm poor, poverty, hunger, etc. Yes, but I am also being cheated because I'm a woman. So now we're talking about proliferation of needs. People's needs are not only bread and butter. People's needs have gone way beyond that. People are talking about sexuality needs. I want to be recognized as a woman. Gender needs. I want to be recognized as a woman, but a woman of a different sexual orientation. I don't want to be a woman that, yes, I'm there for a man. No, I'm not there for a man. I'm there for another woman. So you see the progression of need had gone far beyond the basic need that Maslow talks about, that the physiological need, unless that is satisfied, you cannot move on to the next need. That is then people's physiological need determined their political choices. And that is why ideology was so powerful. Over the years, people's needs have gone beyond physiological. They've moved on to the loved needs, safety needs, etc. So he's thinking that, yes, I may need to know what I would eat, etc. But also, I feel like I'm under threat because of my race, because of my tribe, because of this, because of that. They also form a different party. So the party of the left, that was very much into people's physiological needs, mobilizing against the owners of capital to pay them more money. Now there's a break. Their front has broken. Someone is saying, yeah, we're all in one poor party, pro-poor party. But have you forgotten that men are beating us as women? So we are fighting for women's rights, equality. So political marketing is saying that in the face of the various needs that people have, in the face of the divergent positions, if you make ideology the center of your party and the center of your analysis, you are not going to be sustainable. Because tomorrow, that need that helped you mobilize based on ideology would change. It's dynamic. And when they change, the people would leave. So because of that, let us replace ideology with voter so that we can analyze who the voter is and recognize that, okay, the voter, a section of them are looking for physiological needs, but a section of them are looking for sexuality, gender issues, these issues. And let's make sure that our party reflects those needs of the voters. That we can say that our party is there for those who have gender issues. Our party is there for those who have human rights issues. Those who are facing racism, our party is there for them. And let us develop policies that cut across all these different needs and give them solution. Let our candidate see himself as that. I'm sure you're following the conversation. And so,
yes.
And so the analysis of political strategy says that ideology cannot be the unit of analysis, but the voter. And the party must be organized in this manner that voter characteristics would influence party organization. So the voter is a young person, is an adult, is a woman, is a man, is a Caucasian, is this. All those characteristics, let us identify them. and make sure that it is reflected in the party organization. So where are the women? Where are the young people? Where are the poor people? Where are the rich people? Maybe if the country would allow, where are the gays and the lesbians and all that? Unfortunately, that one there seems to be a united front against that division. So that one, all the parties are afraid to go down that line, because that one, the country seems to be united in terms of its needs, all right, on that. But in terms of the other things, there's quite a lot of, Kofi, I'll call you back, I'm teaching. There's quite a lot of variations, and the party must recognize that and organize itself in that manner so that you can touch everybody that you think you can touch. Because as we say, election is about what? Numbers. Is that clear? Any contribution or question, please, before I move on to the next? Any contribution or question? Is the understanding clear? Hello, guys.
Yes, it's clear. It's clear to me.
Okay, great. Any question or any contribution from anyone? Okay, so we've seen the difference.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just quietly listening and just opposing this to a journal I read in respect of how Margaret Thatcher's handlers softened her image.
Yes.
They used to tell that she's an iron lady.
That's right.
And then, but subsequent research showed that, yes, even though she was considered iron, they considered her image and softened her by the way she dressed and all those ones.
Yeah.
Her appearance in public.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people voted for her, even though they didn't like her ideology.
Yeah. Yeah.
What it means is that the voting pattern, it's back to where you were telling us that ideologies were those days.
Yeah.
But then other things in respect of the marketing of the candidate come to play.
Yeah, excellent. So if you look at the Thatcher story, and that's when, in fact, Margaret Thatcher's time is one of the defining moments in political marketing strategy. The entire campaign was managed by Saatchi and Saatchi, all right, which is an advertising agency. So you can imagine, advertising agency was at the forefront of managing a political campaign because they realized the changing dynamics of it. Margaret Thatcher, obviously one of the most astute politicians, but look at what the issue was. People didn't like her looks, her voice. And if it was here in Ghana, but you know what people would say? Oh, people vote based on whether he's handsome and they think it's stupid. Sometimes I tell people that, look at you don't know the voter. Don't say it is stupid for people to vote based on looks. You are wrong. Don't say it is stupid for people to vote based on how somebody speaks. You are wrong, because all these are issues. You know, there's a saying in our local language that even goes to attest the fact that all these are compelling issues that voters consider to vote. Somebody will say, you've heard that statement before, that phrase before, right? Now, ask yourself why somebody would say that. It is fundamental to cohesion, whether somebody can work with you, appeal. That statement is an embodiment of, I cannot work with you, because human beings must gel. And somebody will say that, I don't know, but I seem to like him. Because personalities, sometimes they repel or they come together, isn't it? So you don't know the person from Adam, yet you seem to like that person, likability. You don't know the person from Adam, yet you seem to repel. So there's a clear personality theory in politics and says that, look, there are some section of voters who may not vote for you because of the personality. Now, if that comes up, don't treat it as trivial. In fact, your team is supposed to even work at it to make sure that anything that actually repel people, and in our political space, we probably may not mention names, right? But especially the young ones who are coming, I can tell you, if we have to sample people, there are some names that will come up, people will say, we don't like him. Why? Because they will tell you the way he speaks, the way he does his things, his mannerism. It puts off people. So your campaign is supposed to recognize that and work at it to make sure that the personality is not the one that actually repel. And we hear them. I mean, we hear people say some personalities actually repel them. Do you get it? Margaret Thatcher's her voice was so squeaky, and people were put off by her voice. So they had to give her voice training. Seriously. Image management is a key part of political strategy. Image management. How do you come across to people? And when your image is coming across negatively, the campaign must work at it. And I think it's an open secret that Nanado's 2008, was it 2008 campaign or 2012 campaign, one of them. And no, 2008, 2012, and then 2016. It's an open secret that people were repelled by some of the things. So that's why they had to change his looks. I mean, started wearing smock, a lot, put down the jacket, the coat, with the handkerchief over here, and started using more of a local language. In fact, 2016 election was more of local language most of the time because they had to work at the image. So you're very right, Anas. In political marketing, as I said, everything is on play, including the candidate's image, including the candidate family. And when we watch the video, you realize some of these things. But currently, as we speak, we hear people say they are trivial. Look, you haven't researched it. Quite a significant number of people are voting because of personality. Do you know why Jacob Echebilamte said Kufuor was a gentle giant? And I've had a lot of conversations with him. In fact, my research on MPP strategy in 2000, the gentle giant was used for that particular purpose, to differentiate between Jacob Echebilamte and Rawlings then, because all of them were giants. In fact, Atta Mills, who was on the ticket instead of Rawlings, was replaced in strategy by the MPP, was replaced with what do you call, with, no, can we get the recording on the yeah, of course, yeah. Was replaced by Jerry Rawlings. Why? Because in MPP strategy, and I will tell you this, in MPP strategies in 2000, they felt that Atta Mills and Kufuor were very much close in terms of image characterization. They were all stout people, very heavy built, right? They were all calm-mannered. They were all highly educated. Although Atta Mills was professor, Kufuor was himself highly educated. He was a lawyer. They all had accomplishment. So they realized that in strategy, in terms of the candidate, branding, if they do not replace Atta Mills with Rawlings, in the perception of the voters, they will not be successful. And the campaign, in fact, the modern campaign has become very personality driven. All right, if you look at the modern campaign, it is much centered on the candidate driven, I should say. So in terms of image and in terms of positioning, which marketing will talk about brand positioning, all right? They had to consciously or deliberately remove Atta Mills, who was the candidate of NDC, and replace him with Jerry Rawlings, so that they can show the differentials between the MPP candidate and the NDC candidate. And it was a smart move. And that actually got realistically possible because Atta Mills had gone to say that he would consult Jerry Rawlings in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening after the Swede Road Declaration. And that was a perfect armory for Jacob Williams' campaign team to consciously tie Atta Mills to Rawlings and say, if you vote Atta Mills, you are voting Rawlings. In fact, this election is about Jerry Rawlings. It's not about Atta Mills. They strategically removed Atta Mills in terms of positioning. Brand positioning is about how do you position your brand in the minds of the voters? How does the voter or how does the product occupy the mind of the consumer, in order that whenever the consumer thinks about the product, that image comes to mind. So you think about Mercedes-Benz, it's not about what? Riches, it's all about luxury. So Mercedes-Benz itself is a representation of what? Luxury, riches, respect, all those things. You know, so in strategy, you can position a political party or a candidate the way you want it if you're effective at it. And that's what they did to Ghanaians. Deliberately removed Atta Mills and replaced him with Rawlings so that they can use the gentle giant and say that if you choose Kufuor, he's the gentle giant. He's not booga booga like Jerry Rawlings. And you're going to have a government that is much more accommodating, much more procedural, etc. If you vote NDC, in fact, you're voting for Rawlings and you're going to get the same booga booga that you used to have. So it is about positioning. And that is what Sachi did with, what do you call, the Iron Lady. So in that first election, I think it was the 87 election, Anas?
Yes, the 87 election.
Exactly. They managed to play on the softness of, what do you call, Thatcher, although she wasn't soft, but they had to bring out certain things to let her seem softer and then change her voice, etc. The same thing MPP did in 2000. You know, the same thing MPP did in 2000. The use of Ali Muhammad was to counter the narrative that MPP was anachronistic, was very, bourgeois, and was very sectionist in terms of religion, that there was too much Christian. And these images played out. And so they had to counter that with a certain strategy. So with Kufuor, they proposed a gentle giant to counter. And then with Ali Muhammad, their script, if you read my PhD, you would see the things that they did. And whenever Kufuor spoke, he says, we need to unite the country. That's why we've chosen Ali Muhammad. But the country was not divided. You ask yourself, in 2000 election, was Ghana divided? We were not divided. But they positioned that argument, and they were successful to say that, and Kufuor kept saying, that's why I've chosen Ali Muhammad, who is from the north, and me from the south, so that the country can be together. And that's why he's a Muslim and I'm a Christian. They kept playing that. And it was hugely successful. Of course, somebody would say that, oh, the NDC was on its way anyway, because they've been in power for so long. You cannot take that for granted. It's also a contributing factor. But the strategy, MPP strategy in 2000, was compelling. And so we're talking about how do you position and all those things, just like what they did for Margaret Thatcher. And that's what we're talking about. So you have to look at the voter traits. So in this case, MPP realized that the voters are diverse. Meanwhile, their image, whether it's a matter of propaganda or reality, had been so pushed to one corner that they said they are canistic, that they said they are bourgeois, they are too elite, that they said they're too Christian dominated, that they said they're too machoistic, they're too many men. So I remember one of my conversations with Jacob Echebilante. He said, what? Kobe, we deliberately made sure that at press conferences, we had a lot of women in front. And that's why when we're watching the video, I said, look at the people in front of McCain's campaign on the stage. They deliberately select people, Hispanics, Asians, Blacks, to occupy some front row to demonstrate the diversity. So, because the point is that you may not know the party. I mean, all of us, we are being played on TV. People talk about Kufuor as if they know him, but you don't know him. You only see him on TV. A lot of us don't know the candidate even. Yet we speak about them as if we know them. They're all in media images. And so we don't know about the party machinery. We don't even know the leadership structure of the party. Yet we talk about them that, oh, they are too sectionist. Why? It's because of the media images. So Jacob Echebilante says that they deliberately made sure that at the front row of MPP press conferences, they had women, and they had women also in Mariafi, how do you call it? The covering.
Yes, the headscarf.
The headscarf.
The headscarf, yes.
Exactly. That's why you saw Ogede, they call her Ogede, right? The lady who died, Hawa Yakubu.
Yes, Hawa Yakubu Ogede.
Yeah. Hawa Yakubu Dems, you know, what do you call Christian Churchill, the asthma, Gladys asthma, all those
Gladys.
people, yeah, were pushed forward deliberately. And Jacob Echebilante of blessed memory tells me, that guy, for me, I think is one of the greatest strategists we've missed. He tells me that Kobe will make sure that the front line is depicting the national character so that people will know that this party is not just for some blokes, some guys, but there are women in it. And there are women of all other sections. And they deliberately did that. The formation of Nasara Club is a management issue. It's an image management issue. Again, to reflect the voter category. So they created the Nasara Club as a wing to deal with the sectional image that they were having, that they can play at the strategic level, the Zongos, and say that we are now recognizing the Zongos at the strategic level, at the top hierarchy of the party. So they created a Nasara Club and made the Nasara coordinator part of the party structures so that the sectionist argument can tone away. We are talking about the voter characteristics. How do you let the party reflect the character of the voter? And so that the voters can see themselves in the party. When I spoke to Odoye Sykes, he says he and Obeche Willamte will go to the beaches, and the guys, the fishermen, they will speak in Ghana. Oh, as for MPP, they baby, he be a can party. Then they say, how could you say MPP is a can party when me, Odoye Sykes, was he the party chairman or the general secretary at the time?
He was a chairman. He became chairman.
The chairman, exactly. How can he say MPP is an account party when Odoye Sykes, I'm the chairman of the party? Jake here is so and so of the party. Then the people will say, oh, really? They will speak in Ghana. Oh, we didn't know. That is image issue. So when the voter, who is now a Ghana fisherman, sees that indeed at the strategic level, there are guns there, he sees himself there. And that's why identity politics is powerful. People think that tribal, and they say, oh, people vote on tribes. Who told you it's wrong? But you see, if we do not have the strategic mindset to use it properly, we'll get it wrong. But the entire idea of identity politics or tribal politics is that the candidate has an assurance that because you and us, you are there, and because you are from my place, and you're an APSU, you can represent the interest of APSU. That's what it means. But it is also true that unless that individual who belongs to that set of group had shown the maximum incompetence or the maximum, failure as a representative of that group, unless that, before they vote against. I mean, take a typical example. Your dad and someone else are going for competition and they say you should vote. Even if you think about it, or even if you blink over it, you are the most useless person on earth, isn't it? How could your dad be competing with another person and blink that you are going to vote for who? It is a straightforward vote. The only time that, or the only condition that you will blink and think twice, it is when your dad has shown that he's the most useless person on earth because he didn't take care of you. He doesn't even care about you. He doesn't know where you are. And all of a sudden, he showed up that he's your dad. That's the only moment you are going to what? Blink and say, I'm going to consider the other candidate. Until that moment, your first point of choice is your dad. It is a complete natural sequence because of the character of the voter. So we're saying that these considerations must be brought onto the discussion. And then we analyze it and see what are the implications and how do we execute that. Then you'll be successful. I hope it's clear. Any questions or contribution? Okay. Now come to another model of the political organization. Now, in 2011, when I was, I think 2009, 2010, when I was submitting my thesis, this was my proposal, or out of my thesis, my framework. I argued that although the voter-oriented or the market-oriented, the voter-oriented organization, like what we have here, is compelling argument. In political marketing, we are not only dealing with the national elections, but we're also dealing with what? The constituency elections. We're dealing with the district elections, for example. And so when we take the argument at that national level, we probably may make a mistake because the political market can be described in many forms. All right. So my argument in my thesis is that whereas we recognize that the voter should be at the core unit of analysis, at some point in time, it probably may not be the voter, but we may have to go back to the traditional ideology-oriented. And so in my argument of political brand architecture, I actually proposed a revolving framework, which is what you can see, where it may not necessarily be the voter as the influencing role, but what I call the target market. Here, the target market can even be the media, because in 2000 election, NPP did not only sell to the voters, but to the media. They sold to the journalists. And you know why or how they did that? When they proposed the repeal of the criminal libel law, it was not so much targeted at the voters because the voters care less about that. Although the question of culture of silence and things like that were throwing them about, was general, which voter actually had the confidence to sit on TV or would even have the luxury or have the opportunity to be invited by GTV to go and sit on radio or TV and talk about politics? None. In fact, at the time, we didn't even have this phone-in thing. All right? But the media, the journalists, they were the ones who used to. So the repeal of the criminal libel law was very much a policy targeted at a certain class of people, which is the media, the resource people who speak on radio, etc. But it was an indirect target to the voters. Why? Because the voters listen to these people and they get influenced by them. So if you throw a bone to a journalist and they pick it, chances are that they would be much more accommodating and relating to you than to your competitor. So it was about targeting the voter through the journalist. So once the journalist caught the bait, they were now positively predisposed towards the MPP. So my argument is that we probably may not only be concentrating on the voter as the unit of analysis, but in some cases, we have to say, who is the target market? It may not be the voter. In fact, in some constituencies, the chiefs are more powerful that when the chiefs say, hey, we are voting this way, everybody would align. So I was saying that, yes, the European model is true, that voter may be at the center of analysis. But in some countries, there are other forces that go beyond the voter need, like my country. And that was my argument in my thesis. And I defended that. That look, in some communities, if you use the voter as the point of analysis, you'll be wrong. Because the point of analysis is the power brokers, the chiefs, the the community leaders, some figureheads, sometimes some old boy somewhere who is so influential because he's building houses, he's building hospitals, he's building. So he gets into a deba and he says, NDC is doing so well. I'm telling you, people are going to vote according to what he says. In fact, people call from abroad to tell their parents and their sisters where to vote because they send money. Yeah, Bonsu, you are now on karaoke. Position yourself well.
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Yeah, also MPP is doing well, so they should vote.
Okay, yeah, I get
Hello.
you. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Bonsu.
Yeah, Bonsu. Anas.
Yes, Bonsu always branch off.
That balance the example for me.
Oh yeah, I agree. But that's why I've been balancing it. That's why I've been balancing it.
Are you there?
What needs to be balanced? What needs to be balanced about this? We are in midst of fuel and things are going up, and we are saying
Francis.
travel is on the ground. A political
these two people there.
who is fully aware of what is going on in this country to say that somebody should call somebody from outside to say MPP is doing what? If you said this
okay, guys, hold on.
Last year, Francis, but not now.
That's just by the way. That's just by the way. Hold on.
He's not doing a campaign.
Hey, Francis, hold your fire. Hold your fire.
Dino, let me tell you something. In the political marketing class, this is exactly what I enjoy. You know, the batch that came just before you guys, let me tell you those guys we had in class. You know, Kofi, Accra Digital Center, yeah. we had Kofi in class, we had Broja Jemfi in class, we had what do you call Cwalina in class. Cwalina, these guys in Nkrumah's brother, and the class was bigger. I mean, the political marketing class was almost about 20 people, and they were fairly divided between MPP and DC. But you got Charlie. Hey, sometimes we don't even like. We're supposed to close, but we don't close. The debate and the argument. Oh my God. And the previous times we had the same thing. So the political marketing class is so unique, and you enjoy the passion, like, you know. So I can understand, you know, Boss, I can understand you. Francis, I can understand you as well. Anyway, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sir, I like the way you are giving a factual example. I mean, people will come from outside and say that.
Yeah. So as for the political marketing class, it is always like, and it's enjoyable. So in fact, there are some people who say, hey, Charlie, they say the class is different. I say, yeah, because you guys are in boring theoretical class. For us, our class is very practical, you know. So yeah, that's what it is. So in 2009, 2010, when I was defending my thesis, I said that, look, there are people who actually define how people should vote. They determine how people should vote because of the power, the influence, the impact they have on the society. So in our case, if we use only the voter as the point of analysis, we may be wrong. And that's why the dynamics is different. So when you're going to a constituency, ask yourself, who are the power brokers in this constituency? And how can you target the voters through them? Because if you do the analysis without them, and you say that you're only looking at the voters, you'll be wrong. So yes, on the national scale, you probably can actually look at the voter demographics or the voter characteristics for your analysis. In terms of the constituency elections, the dynamics may be different. And so you have to realize these two practicalities when you're actually doing the analysis. Are you guys following?
Very true. I will want to give some practical example to this experience.
Yeah.
In the just ended election, if you observe very well, this lady at La Paz, Obana, her campaign was Obana. Oh, I've forgotten her name. So at the
yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
the name comes in later.
Who?
Lami.
Lamin.
Yeah, Lami. I think it's not the lady who won the seat for NDC.
Yes, the lady who won the seat for NDC.
Yes.
Yes. And for that constituency, for 24 years, NPP has been winning continuously. You get it? Before then, it was Fuseni who was there for NPP. And they know very well that when it comes to president, people will still go for X. They derive a new tactics and looking at the influential people in the society. The Zongo youth, the imams, and all those people in that society that have a little influence over the youth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And this woman was on them 24/7. Just those people who have that kind of influence in the society, and was on them 24/7, and it got her the results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it kind of like linked to what you are saying.
Yeah.
And today she's in parliament.
Yeah. So you have to look at the role and the relationship. So in the political brand architecture theory or the framework that I proposed, I'm saying that it is crucial to analyze the role that the candidate has with the policy, the role of the policy towards the others, the others towards the party, and then the relationship between all these, in order that you can devise a much more strategic campaign going forward. And that's the proposal. I actually put, and there was a compelling, what do you call, argument, that has been advanced. So yes, the voter must be at the center of analysis, but in some instances, you want to look at the two, which one is the more compelling case to make, and then move towards that. It's 10:30. Do you guys have another class? I think our time is up. Do you guys have another class? So I would end here, and then we can continue.
Yes, there's another class.
Yeah. So I'll end here, and then we can continue the conversation in our next class. We'll come and look at the critical perspectives of political marketing. What are some of the things that do not actually sit very well with the policy, with the political marketing strategy, and how do we counter that? How do we strategize against that so that we're not mismatching, in terms of our approach going forward? But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions or
thank you. We've enjoyed it.
Thank you. So I've done the recording. I'll circulate it, so that you guys can actually listen to it. All right. Great. Bonsu, thanks so much, you guys, for coming. Anas and Francis, I appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you too.
Thank you. And my TA Gilbert is always around. So if you want any assistance, he's always there.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.